Just like many people, I wear many hats, but my most important roles are child of God, mother, wife, daughter, sister, and mentor. Through these roles, I discovered my life's work of being an advocate for mental health. Join me on the new platform, Dr. Tade Talks, as we destigmatize mental health in our community. Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. Tade Talks. I am Dr. Tade, and today we're talking about Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder, commonly known as ADHD. ADHD is one of the most common neurodevelopmental disorders that affect children and can continue into adulthood. This means that children with ADHD can grow into adults with the same disorder. ADHD is characterized by three symptoms: inattention, disorganization, and or hyperactivity or impulsivity. Inattention occurs when a child or an adult finds it difficult to pay focused attention. Children with ADHD tend to daydream a lot in class, even at home. They have difficulty listening, they have difficulty following instructions. You often find them staring into space like their mind is far away. They tend to forget things very easily. For example, if your child constantly forgets to do his homework, he takes longer than usual to complete the work. He leaves the work at school. He loses books, materials that he needs to complete assignments. If he's having difficulty getting their work started at all, or even completing the work, this may be signs that they are struggling with inattention. Children with ADHD also tend to be disorganized. Their desk or locker at school is constantly in disarray. Their room is cluttered. They can never find anything in there. They have their clothes all over the place and everything is a constant mess. When you go into some children's rooms, it's just, it's chaotic. It's just a mess. So children with ADHD may also be hyperactive and impulsive. They fidget a lot. They are unable to sit still. They constantly get out of their seats in class. Sometimes they wander out of the classroom without taking permission. They need constant bathroom breaks or water breaks just to keep them moving and help them settle down or refocus. These children sometimes give very little thought to their actions. They tend to act impulsively. They will intrude on people's conversation and activities. They find it difficult to stand in line or wait their turn during activities. Their behavior, although not intentional, may be frustrating to teachers. It may be frustrating to parents or caregivers in general. They get into trouble a lot at school and at home. When ignored or allowed to go untreated, children with ADHD may develop low self-esteem or even depression as they get older. The constant negative attention from people around them reacting to their behavior may, leave them wondering why no one likes them. Some of these children start to question why they are the way they are. Funny enough, in our community, when a child misbehaves, the first thing we ask them is, "What is wrong with you?" Remember that when we were younger, people would say to us, "What is wrong with you?" Parents, please let us stop using that phrase, "What is wrong with you?" This question leaves a child feeling that there must be something wrong with me. I must not be right. Just think about it. Most of us have heard this phrase growing up and it seeps into our subconscious. It could make you begin to doubt your self-worth. I'm sure some of you are wondering, how can a child, be managed with these symptoms? How can we manage a child with these symptoms without beating them black and blue? Believe me, it is possible. Let's be frank, parents. We spank a child so much and you are the one that gets exhausted. I can't imagine how many fingernails I have broken, spanking my boys when they were younger. Remember, these children are a ball of energy. So your beating or spanking may stop them in the moment, but it does not erase the behavior. Now, I know many of our parents do not want to hear this, but medication can be used to effectively treat ADHD symptoms, those symptoms of impulsivity, inattention, and hyperactivity. And studies have shown that medication is the single most effective treatment for reducing ADHD symptoms. Science has also shown that people with ADHD have an underdeveloped caudate nucleus, a part of the brain that controls motor activities. So these behavioral modifications can be applied at home and in school. However, because of the biological origin of the disorder, the most effective treatment for ADHD is medication management. You cannot really do behavior modification for a child who is not medicated. I know some people are skeptical about medication prescribed for ADHD, but the research has shown that it is the most effective treatment. I know I'll get comments about the use of medication, and I'm not saying that every child needs medication, but imagine you have high blood pressure and your doctor puts you on medication. When you use it, the blood pressure is reduced. And the same goes for ADHD medication. It reduces the symptoms. It helps the child to calm down. It helps them to pay attention. The child is able to learn. The child is able to retain and do productive work. We have a whole episode dedicated to the use of medication to treat disorders like ADHD, depression, and anxiety. A point to note, for those parents that choose only behavior modification, it can be a very frustrating process. For our wonderful and passionate African parents, please note that you cannot beat ADHD out of a child. Do you wonder why each time you correct a child or discipline a child, they end up doing the same thing over and over again? This tells us that there is a deficit in controlling that behavior. The child is not trying to be stubborn. They really cannot help themselves. Physical punishment may result in bodily injury or emotional injury, and you really don't want the DCFS involved in your lives. I know that the Bible says spare the rod and spoil the child, but we have to realize that there are some children who cannot help the way they behave. Physical punishment will be ineffective and really feel more like child abuse than discipline. Children with ADHD may end up depressed and even suicidal if they are constantly chastised. We will stop here for today, and next week we will continue with a talk on ADHD. We'll talk on learning disorders, which sometimes coexist with ADHD and other neurodevelopmental disorders. Thank you for tuning in today. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Remember, fear, shame, and anxiety is not who we are or who we were created to be. Till next time, stay blessed.